Texas Longhorns roll 52-0 in week one. Ryan Wingo makes his debut. Arch Manning throws his first touchdown. It was a great weekend for Texas, and it really got started on Friday. That's when five-star wide receiver Jaime Ffrench committed to the Longhorns, and he did it early, a 7:30 a.m. commitment. I love it. We had all day to talk about it. That's not the only reason I love it, but we did talk about it, and we're gonna rehash it here. I got Justin Wells from Inside Texas. We're also going to talk about this weekend's visits, but first, Texas fans, do me a favor, hit subscribe to the On3 Recruit channel. We love talking Texas recruiting, and we're going to do it all season long, so jump on board right now and hit subscribe. All right, let's bring in Justin Wells. Now, let's go back to Friday. I know it seems like a while ago, but Friday, Jaime Ffrench out of Jacksonville Mandarin High School pledged to the Texas Longhorns. It was a huge commitment. This one, at certain times, I mean, at one point he was committed to Alabama. At another point, we thought it might be Ohio State. LSU was in good shape. But in the end, it's Texas. What does this mean for not only Texas recruiting, but more so that offense that the Longhorns are going to be putting on the field next year?
You know, anytime you can get 2 5-star receivers in the same cycle, Josh, that's a really big deal. Like, you know, you look back, that's not a common occurrence. Generally, it's difficult to kind of stack those kids. What they're seeing is what you just saw on Saturday. Texas threw the ball to 10 different receivers in a win over Colorado State. That's the kind of impact Jaime Ffrench is going to have. You know, when he's joining Khalil Lockett, and honestly, those two guys could not be more complementary in what their style of play and how they really just help each other out. And I think the idea of catching footballs from Arch Manning and KJ Lacey is also appealing. But honestly, this room just gets stronger. You know, Texas was kind of in a rut last month in July. And fans, we tried to tell them you got to be patient. You can't really judge rankings in the summertime. Don't ever worry about quarterback, running back, or wide receiver when Steve Sarkisian's in Austin. You just can't do that. He's always going to have those guys stocked and prepared. And 3 weeks later, they've got a top 5, top 6 class team ranked in the nation for 2025.
Yeah, you're right. July, we saw at the end of July, Texas was sitting at 16 or 17 in the On3 industry rankings. At the end of August, after Jaime Ffrench commits, they're sitting at number 6. An incredible run that might not be over. Yeah, the month of August is over. We saw Khalil Lockett. We saw Jonah Williams. We saw Jaime Ffrench all commit to Texas. We thought maybe the number 1 athlete in America, Michael Terry, was also going to come off the board in August. He did not. He's going to take his recruitment. Well, we don't really know how far he's going to take it, but at least we know he's going to take it into September, because today is September 1st and Michael Terry's not committed. So what are you hearing right now on Texas and number 1 athlete Michael Terry?
They continue to have great conversations. Texas really, really set the platform for this recruitment in that official visit in June. AJ Milwee, Chris Jackson, Steve Sarkisian, Jeff Banks. I mean, this was a group effort. And they let him know exactly how he can be used. And if you watch the Longhorns on Saturday against Colorado State, the amount of different formations and different rotations with 6 different receivers, 5 different running backs, listen, that's a big, big deal. And Michael Terry sees that. That is something, you know, he needs the ball in his hands. I think Joe Cook, our guy at Inside Texas, went to go see him about a week and a half ago, and you just got to put the ball in his hands. There's so many ways he can beat you across the field. I see an L.J. Humphrey type of athlete in Michael Terry, and he loves Texas. Oregon still pushing hard. Nebraska is trying to get him on campus for a game in the next few weeks. Matt Rule and those guys are not going to let up. And with Dylan Raiola in Lincoln, that's a pretty good little sell. But right now that Texas has 2 5-star receivers, I wouldn't be surprised if Michael Terry turns into that third potentially receiver, just from a optic standpoint in this class, because I think that's where he can do a lot of damage. H-back, tight end, flex, just get him on the field. I still think there's a decision coming in the next few weeks. I don't think this thing is going to stretch into October. I would be shocked if it did. I think you might see Terry back on campus at Texas in the next few weeks for a game potentially. But right now, I still like the Horns. I think they're leading the way. You just got to watch Oregon and Nebraska. They are making some strong pushes.
Yeah, we're tracking Michael Terry as of right now. I think he's expected to be in Lincoln for that Colorado game. We'll report on that throughout the week, but we'll keep an eye on that.
Right.
Another thing that I'm keeping an eye on was top 100 Texas linebacker commit Elijah Barnes. He visited Oregon over the weekend. Justin, what's up with that?
Yeah, well, in the recruiting world, there's always little surprises here and there, and that was a little bit of a surprise that Elijah Bo Barnes, look, his game film from Friday is some of the best you're going to see this year already. Like it was one of the best performances a linebacker can have. Top to bottom, you saw a fantastic player. And what did Rashad Samples do? Called him immediately to tell him that Texas is going to, waste him, that he's not going to be used properly at Texas. They're not taking it. They're taking advantage of him. They're not. It's all anti-Texas. It's not pro-Oregon. And that's, some kids are going to see that and they're going to drink that. And they're going to think that's what tastes good. And then some kids will see through that. It remains to be seen how Elijah Barnes and his family is going to handle this. Taking those visits and not letting the staff know is kind of a bad beat. Yeah. I don't think there's a whole lot to see here right now, but it's something that we're certainly monitoring. It's something we reported on yesterday. Charlie Williams had a good little note on that one as well. But man, it wouldn't be recruiting. Texas has had so much good momentum and mojo in the last 9-10 days. It just wouldn't be recruiting without a balance of, well, now you got so-and-so taking a visit to so-and-so. I think one thing that you can look at, though, is Oregon, they had kind of a hard time with Idaho at home. They barely beat them. And maybe something like that on the field may have an effect or two. I don't know. But just it's recruiting. Barnes is I don't think he's opening up his recruitment at all. I think in the NIL era, you're going to see kids push the limits in some spots just to kind of see if they can increase an offer, if they can increase their package that they get from an NIL standpoint. Yeah. It's just part of recruiting in 2024, Josh. And but right now, I don't think there's anything to see there. I wouldn't be surprised if Barnes is back in Austin in the next few weeks. But it's something we're definitely having to pay attention to.
Yeah, we'll pay attention to it. Okay, so this was like an appetizer. I know there was a lot of great players on campus over the weekend, but this is just week one. So what game or games should Texas fans have circled for the big visit weekends where like they get those mass amounts of recruits on campus for a visit? What week?
Oh, yeah, that's Texas, Georgia. I think it's October 19th. That's the weekend. Texas has already identified that weekend as they're going to bring in everybody.
Everyone.
There are already guys that are going to get that are coming in, setting up plane reservations, things of that sort, finding hotels. Because look, that's going to be the weekend. Texas is going to blow it out when the Georgia Bulldogs come to Texas on October 19th. That is, I can't wait because it's not only going to be a great game, a great atmosphere from two of the top teams in the country. You're going to have, I bet that recruiting list is 50, 60 deep of some of the best talent in 2025, 2026, and 2027 in the nation. They're going to blow it out for Georgia and Kirby Smart. They did that 2 years ago when Nick Saban and Alabama came to Texas, and that actually benefited them tremendously. There were a ton of recruits that were in the stands that day that wound up signing with Texas. One notably is Kobe Black, a freshman that's got on the field yesterday for the Horns. Right. And so they're going to blow it out against Georgia, and they're going to do it big. It is such a stinker that they have to play them right after Oklahoma because of the emotional and physical toll that game takes. But when you know you're going to be hosting some of the best in the absolute nation on a week in the next weekend, I think Texas staff's going to be up to it.
Yeah, they'll be up for that one for sure. Texas fans, talk to us. How are we feeling coming out of the weekend? Let us know. And also, were you one of the ones that was worried about Texas recruiting back in July? Let us know. Comment section. You can be honest. We're in the trust tree here. Just be honest with us. Were you at one point worried about this Texas Longhorn recruiting class? Let us know. Comment section below. Well, you've made it to the end of today's video, but there's hundreds more videos on the On3 Recruits channel for you to check out. And also, while you're here, hit subscribe.